What is up, everybody? This is the Hype Seat where real ones drop real strategy in real time. There are no scripts, no filters, no BS. We go live across TikTok, YouTube, LinkedIn, and Instagram. So what you are hearing right now, it is raw, real, and it's happening as we speak. No perfect edits, no motivational theater, just unfiltered conversations with people who actually walk the walk, builders, leaders, for people creating momentum in a world full of chaos and pressure. And if you're rebuilding from scratch or leading while carrying real life behind the scenes, I see you. And that is why this show even exists. And that's why I created the Hype Collective. Each week, I bring on voices that matter, not because they're famous, but because they're doing something worth talking about. If they're innovating, disrupting, or leading with intention, we are putting them in the hype seat. And today we have Steve Afra, the Godfather of Private Money, 34 years in the game, over 10 billion in loans, and currently serves as managing partner at Nvestor Funding, and one of the loudest voices in non-QM lending and real estate funding. This is not just TikTok theory. Steve has been closing deals before social media even existed. So we're going to be talking legacy, leverage, lending, and all the stuff that no one sees behind the scenes. So sit down, lock in. This is the Hype Seat. So welcome, Steve.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So I'm just going to dive right into it and actually start where the story begins. So I don't want a polished LinkedIn version, but I want to know what real life was like before you ever even closed your first loan. Where were you at?
So, I got into the mortgage business when I was 17. So
Okay.
it was a long time ago. You're talking 1989, if I could date myself. But the first deal that I funded, I would say I was probably 19 years old. And it
Wow.
was so my father was a fix and flipper, and it was a client that he had. So he was selling a house, gave it to me, and the mortgage company that I worked with at that time was one of the largest, or the largest, privately held mortgage banking company in the country, and they were one of the first FHA lenders back then. So they gave me an opportunity. The owner of the company knew my father. My father was a really big fix and flipper back then, and he said, "You know what? If you want to get your feet wet, take the application." So I took an application. I got all the paperwork done. And they gave me like $250, which I thought I was rich. So, and back then they were making a lot more money than $250 on those loans. So that was my first deal that I ever funded.
Okay, awesome. So let's fast forward then. What was your first big break? Like, and also too, with that, what did it cost you to get there?
So I'm going to be honest with you. There was no big break. That was it. That was the break. So what it was, I was a valet parker. That's what I did as a kid, and I used to make a lot of money valet parking. I lived in New York, at that time, and during the summer, the restaurant that I worked for closed down for a month, and my mom wasn't having me not working at all. So she said, "You know what? My best friend is the head of this mortgage company. Go. You have to go work." That was it. She pushed me into it, and I said, "Are you crazy? I'm not going to go make $2.75 an hour. You're out of your mind. Like I'm making $300 a night back then." So she's like, "No, you got to go." So I went, and I guess that was the big break. I went there. I I really liked what was happening. I'm a numbers guy, and then I started calculating. Wow, I mean, these guys are making millions of dollars a week. So I got hooked. I said, I guess I'm going to be a mortgage banker at some point in my life. And so I put myself through college. I put myself through law school, and I got out and I tried to practice law for about 6 months, and I hated it. I was miserable. Uh, so I I talked to my dad. I got some money together, and I opened up my first mortgage company, and that was it. And I never looked back.
Wow.
So
How old were you when that happened?
that was 1998. So
Wow.
I was 26.
Okay. Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
So What did you believe? So just because I want to dive into, success and what people like, because we've got listeners both, I'm sure, on your account and my socials that are all sorts of places in their journey, with real estate, with investments and things like that. So is there something that you believed about success back then that turned out to be wrong? Like what's kind of one of the biggest lessons you learned along the way about success specifically?
So one thing I learned is that every successful person that I know has had trials and tribulations, right? And those are the people that make it long term. Because if you think that you're just going to do business and then something goes wrong and then you're going to stick your head up your butt and then that's it, then you're just lost.
Yep.
And there have been times I tell people, I'm not ashamed of it. There are times when I had a black Amex, I could go buy a Rolls Royce and put it on there. And then there are times after that where I didn't know how I'm going to feed my daughter. So, and
That's
multiple times, right?
Mhm.
So I think, being a collegiate athlete, being an athlete growing up, I always had that really tough mentality where it was very difficult to break me. I was also extremely competitive. And I like to call myself, I was a blue collar athlete. If you know what a blue collar athlete is, it's somebody who has decent athletic ability, but
Mhm.
they outwork everybody else.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
And that was me. So, and I tried to explain this to my own kids. I wasn't like the best athlete growing up. I
Yep.
was a tough kid, but I think that mentality of being a blue collar athlete and having to fight and work that much harder than everybody else to
Mhm.
become a great athlete, that trying to transfer it over to work. And even till now, everything that I do, I never put any money emphasis on it. Like,
Mm.
I never count the money. I'll never be like, "Well, I'm gonna do this because I'm gonna make $10 million." It's
Interesting. Okay.
the money is always gonna come because I'm gonna succeed. My mentality is always, "I'm gonna do this because I'm gonna succeed. I'm gonna do this because it's gonna help these people." Obviously, I'm in business. I wanna make money, but my objective isn't making money, if that makes any sense. My objective is to win, and by
Mhm.
winning, there comes money.
100%. There's so many golden nuggets about what you just said, and it kind of reminds me, and it's something I tell a lot of the agents that I coach and train is like, you know, when you have commission breath, right? Because I've got real estate agents that I coach and train. We got that commission breath when like people can smell and sniff that out, and if it's just about I need that money or I want to make that whatever $10,000 commission check, $20,000 commission check, that's going to come out in your energy, in your tone, and how people perceive you. But
Right.
if you come at it with, I want to win, I want to be successful, I want to help these people, you provide value, the money will come with that. So it's
Right.
about switching the mindset up. And that's so, so true. And it's funny, I actually am the same way. I was an athlete, but the thing that I loved the most was dancing. And I just, yes, it came somewhat naturally to me, but I was not the most flexible. I didn't have the best technique, but I
Mhm.
worked the freaking hardest at it. And because I loved it, I did it the most and I worked hard and ended up becoming a professional dancer in the NBA space, but I had to try out twice. I didn't make it the first time. And, so it's about not giving up and having that grind and that determination more than anybody else. You don't have to be the best. Same thing with, because I've experienced a lot of agents who will be really, really talented sales wise, but their consistency sucks. So I'm like, I beat out. I didn't grow up in a sales realm. I didn't have anyone in my family except one person that owned a business. So everyone else, blue collar, work 40 years, retire on, whatever. And so for me, it was like, okay, I can be consistent. What I can control is the consistency and I'm going to follow up. And, I'm not the best salesperson at the time, obviously, but sales, those things are skills, those things that you can develop, but the heart and the drive and the competitiveness, like that's harder to train and get somebody to feel or be that way. So I totally resonate with what you're
You're
saying.
absolutely right. The drive, I think you either have or you don't. And that's why, I relate business so much to athletics because
Yep.
it's the same way. It's, you know, one of my kids, my middle guy, is my best athlete, and he's got the drive, right? And he's not blue collar. Thank God he takes after his mom. Like he's got the skill.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
but one thing is, and you have that kid that wakes you up at 5 a.m. saying, I got to get to practice. Or you
Mm,
have that kid that you're waking up at 5 a.m. saying you got to go to practice,
yep.
right? I
Yep.
was the kid waking up at 5 a.m. I have to go to practice. And
Mm,
and that was it. And that self-motivation just transferred over into real life and that
mhm.
competitiveness, right?
Yep.
And so anything that I get into, it could be anything. Just tell me anything. I don't care. Put me in a new business. Tell me, you know what, Steve, you're going to buy HVAC business, right? I'm not going to get into the HVAC business thinking, oh, I'm going to have one store.
Yep.
And so, all right, if I'm going to get into the HVAC business, how am I going to dominate the HVAC business? What can
Mhm.
I do to have 100 HVAC businesses? Right? That's
Well,
the way my brain works, whether it's right or whether it's wrong. Now, I tell people I'm not always winning, right? I'm
right.
not. I take bigger hits than normal people take. That's the truth, right? Well, again, I had a very difficult 2 weeks. We lost a significant amount of money because of some loans that went south, right?
Mhm.
But what I explained to my business partner, I said, let's think about it as a game. It's only the middle of the game. We're at halftime. It's 6 months
Mm,
into the year,
mhm.
right?
Yep.
It's 6 months into the year. It's halftime. We got another half to win the game. And
Uh-huh.
let's tally it up and figure out, if we're going to lose or we have 6 months to make up the losses.
Yep.
And that's just the way my brain works. I could sit there, I could lick my wounds, and I can make this next 6 months, I could be miserable and feel bad for myself. I just don't let myself do that. And like you said, that's like you. You,
Yep.
you, you know. But the other thing I'll tell you, you said consistency, you hit it on the head. Your clients have to know who they're getting,
Yep.
good or bad, right? You're a psychotic lunatic, right? But at least they know you're psychotic, but you get your job done.
Mm,
This guy is fucking crazy, right? This guy's nuts, but he gets the job done. But what
mhm.
can't happen is I'm going to be an angel, then I'm going to be a lunatic, and then not know what they're getting, right? And that just can't be.
Well,
And
and it's just, I tell people all the time, I say, look, I sell houses, don't decorate them. So I'm going to have somebody else come in here and tell you what paint color you need, how to put the
Mhm.
furniture in here. Like, I think it's a strength when you know what you're not good at and lean into that and say, hey, this is what you hire me for my negotiation skills.
Yeah.
This is a game to me. And I love it. Not a game in the sense of, but a game in the sense of I'm competitive and I want to win and I want to help you like that.
Mhm.
This is fun to me. This part is this other stuff, the decorating, the whatever, like I'm going to leave that to somebody else. That's why I have a team. And it's
That's
not
the
just,
expert,
yep.
right? I'm going to give it to the expert. I agree with you. Same in my business. I agree with you. You have to know what you're good at, and you have to really hone those skills, right?
Yep.
And that's
Hmm.
what that's what you have to do. And I agree with you. The other thing is persistence. My favorite line is persistence breaks resistance,
I like that. Hmm.
and you're going to get the door slammed on your face. People are going to tell you no. You could either take the no or be persistent and come back. If I could tell you how many deals, how many times, even today, for instance,
Yep.
I turned something around. I was persistent with this guy. I probably reached out to him 14 times via email, 20 times on phone calls until he picked up probably 45 minutes ago. I said, dude, you're out of your mind. I said, listen, I need this. So if I'm calling you, I'm not giving up. And he
Hmm.
said, look, let me speak to my partner. Your persistence is working, and we're going to probably give you that line. But that's just me. I'm
Yep.
just, to me, no in business, right, doesn't mean no.
Yep.
It's
It means no,
maybe.
not right now. Just
Not right
maybe.
now. Not
Yep.
right now. That's a good
Yep.
one. Or it's a maybe later,
Yep.
right?
Absolutely.
Maybe later. And
Mhm.
until someone gives me a definite, stop freaking calling me, man. Like, F off. I'm gonna keep pursuing it.
You're doing it. Yep, absolutely. So I want to stay in that lane because you know, kind of like what you were talking about before, what you've built now, it's not just about money. It's about people, impact, you got culture. So I want to talk about the weight of that, because you built a reputation, obviously, as one of the top private lenders in the country. So what do you feel like a lot of people misunderstand about this space? Like, is there any part of your success that people, I don't know, maybe assume was easy that wasn't? Um, or, just maybe some misconceptions that people have about what you do.
I think the biggest misconception is that you kind of fall into this position, right? Or that you just worked and then you just become successful. It's not. There's a lot of getting your butt handed to you, a lot of losses, a lot of lessons along the way, you know, that don't even stop, right? They
Yep.
keep going. They keep really going. Um, and I think having a father that taught me hard work is the only way that you're going to achieve your goals. And beating that into my head ever since I was a child,
Hmm.
it really stuck with me. And so some people look at my life today and they're like, you take it easy. I don't take it easy. What they don't realize is that I start my work from 6 a.m. and it doesn't stop because I am answering emails that I'm getting back to sometimes at 12 midnight,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
Now, am I meeting with people, having meetings, this, that? Yes, I do. But that doesn't mean that's my life. It doesn't mean, having lunch is just my life. It's constantly working, right? And I think that is work ethic is the most important thing. And a lot of people say, well, you have to work smarter and not harder. Bull crap.
Yep.
No,
Yep.
you have to work harder and you
Hmm.
have to work smarter.
It's both. Yeah. And usually
Well,
one before the other. Yep.
right. And
Exactly.
to be honest with you, I know a lot of people that work harder. They're a lot more successful than the guys that work smarter.
100%. Yep. And
And
ideally, yeah, you figure out that combo and it looks different for everybody, but
yeah,
there's no shortcut to success, really.
no shortcut. I know you're in real estate, and I want and I want to tell you a real quick story. So I own real estate in New York, and the realtors in New York are ruthless. They don't stop.
Yep.
It's they're going to call you a gazillion times
Uh-huh.
until you MF them, right?
Mhm.
So I was having a real tough morning, and I'm not in New York anymore. I live in Nashville. So when
Okay.
I get phone calls from the New York area, if it's multiple times, sometimes I think that there's something wrong. So I'm having a bad morning, and somebody's power calling me like 4 times, and automatically I start thinking, "Oh my God, something bad happened to someone that I love in New York or something." I pick up the phone, and it's a realtor asking me if I want to sell one of my commercial properties. I black out on this guy. I completely, for 15 minutes, I tear into him. Okay. Then I hang up. 30 seconds later, he calls me back.
Like,
I lose my mind on him again. 10 minutes later, he calls back, and I'm ready to go through the phone and choke him. He says, "Stop, stop, stop. Don't yell. I just want to tell you I'm sorry." He completely disarmed me. He said, "I want to tell you that I'm sorry. I didn't mean to ruin your day. I didn't mean for any of that to happen. If I did that, I am really, really sorry, and I will never call you again." He said, "I just wanted to tell you that because I feel horrible." So I'm disarmed, and I said, thank you so much." And I hang up the phone, and now I feel horrible. I feel horrible. I said, "Oh my God, I can't believe I went crazy on this guy. I should have never did that." I pick up the phone. I call him. I said, "Look, I'm very sorry that I was having a bad morning and I was very unprofessional. And some of the things I said were wrong. You didn't do anything wrong. You're persistent, and I'm going to reward your persistence. My cousin has a property that he's selling in Brooklyn.
wow.
This is his number. Give him a call. Tell him I recommended you, and I guarantee he'll give you the listing." And that's exactly what happened. And
Wow.
He ended up getting the listing. He closed the deal, and he got me a nice box of cigars after he did. And and we're still in contact once in a while. So
Amazing.
it's what you do, right? It's like, and that was the persistence. Maybe he went wrong on him, right? Maybe he was a little too persistent. Maybe he caught the wrong guy, but
Mhm.
his ability to diffuse
Yep.
what was going on within me, that
Mhm.
rage, I had to award that with something, right? And the fact that he was so persistent, I had to award also because that's just me. I
Right.
preach that to people.
Yeah, you resonate with that.
I
Absolutely.
resonate with it. And
That's
that's just the
incredible.
story I want to give to some of the realtors because
Mm,
you're in that game. You know,
100%. Oh, that's so good for
yeah,
people. You can't take anything personal. Like it's not because like you said, you had a bad morning, you took it out on that guy. Was he annoying? Yes.
yeah,
But at the end of the day, if you take that, he could have internalized that and either done nothing, just be like, oh, F that guy. He's
yeah,
rude.
yeah,
What else? I'm never going to talk to him again. But instead of taking everything personally, instead, he's like, you know what? I'm going to say so. Like that is huge for someone to be
huge,
able to apologize
massive.
to you after you berated him twice.
Twice,
So
twice.
and
And to
deal.
a total, probably 30 minutes of just not letting him speak, and I'm unleashing everything that was happening to me that morning on this poor guy, right?
Yep.
And so that's a good lesson because, to be honest with you, the third time that he called and he said, "Stop, stop, stop," he was very sincere.
Yeah.
It wasn't a show, and people get that, right? And you said you have to have
But yeah.
that sincerity to be a
Mhm.
good salesperson. And he had given up on me, and all he really wanted was to apologize. And that was so big for me because I had never had that. I've never experienced that from anybody else that's been annoying, who maybe I've torn into,
Yeah.
at least make an effort, knowing that maybe I'm going to yell at him again, put themselves in harm's way again
Mhm.
to say, hey, stop. I'm sorry. And
Mhm.
that's big.
That's
So
incredible.
maybe, for
Huge
your
lesson.
audience,
Yep.
people or people in the real estate business, that's pretty important.
100%. There's so many aspects of that story that I think real estate agents, like you said, the people that I coach and train, that would really resonate with. And it's like it's not over unless you either give up or
Mhm.
decide that you don't want to work with that person. But sometimes just having that social or emotional intelligence to be like, hey, look, in this particular scenario, the right thing for me to do, even though just to not expect anything and be like,
Yeah,
hey, I got to make this right. I need to apologize because obviously I offended or hurt or whatever this person. And
right.
I think that goes a long way in business. And obviously it turned out, he was not expecting anything from
No,
you, but
he was
ended up
not.
getting something. So,
But he ended up being awarded for his sincerity
yep.
and his persistence.
Mhm. And then none of that is sales skills, right? Like that. I mean, that was just like you said, the persistence that it takes to be successful, and then the genuineness and authenticity
Yeah,
in just in caring and being valuable. Whether that's something that to help you. In this case, the value wasn't in helping you necessarily, but the value in hearing and seeing somebody. And I tell people all the time, they will work with you if people feel seen, felt, and heard. If you make people feel that, like you're going to get the deal more often than not with people.
listen, right? You just have to listen to them. And
Mhm.
the one thing, so we do some, I don't know if you do it, we record our salespeople, right?
Yep.
And you'll get somebody who, let's say, calls us and says, I'm looking for a cash out refinance. And my sales guy goes right into a rate. Well, I'll give you the best rate. So I'm listening onto the call to hang up. I said, the guy's asking for pizza and you're selling him ice cream. Did he even approach you about the rate? He's
Right. Yep.
asking for a cash out refinance and you're talking about a rate. He didn't, so you just sold yourself short because maybe you didn't need to give him the best rate. The guy is desperate for a cash out to do something, right? And to what you're saying, that I think too many people are too quick to speak before they could listen to exactly what it is somebody's looking for, and for you to say, well, I could fulfill that, right? And in your business, it could be, well, I need to get out of this property quick, right?
Right.
Instead of saying, well, I want that, I don't care, I want to sit around and I want the highest price.
Right.
No, the guy's just telling you, I want to get out of this property quick. Your response should be, I got you. This is what we're going to do. We're going to go a little bit below market,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
I guarantee that you're going to be able to sell the house a lot quicker than everybody else, right?
Yes, you hit the nail on the head. And because I tell people the number one most requested piece of content that people want me to put out there is scripts. And so I do it right because they want a starting point, they want a foundation, they want a safety net.
Right.
But what I want my agents that I coach or trainer, the people watching me, is like, look, the script it's just a guide. It's just a tool. It's not the thing. You could have the most amazing script in the world, but if you don't have the right tone, if you don't listen to the other person, if you don't understand like what their needs are, the best script in the world isn't going to work for you. So it's like, it's a tool, but if you don't listen, if you don't like anticipate people's needs and actually hear what it is that they need, even if they're not saying it right. But like you said, there's little context clues of like, okay, just because the script says next I talk about rates, or next I talk about how to get you the most out of your property.
Right.
If they're like, I'm in a situation where I just inherited this property and I can't pay the expenses to keep it, like I need to get it gone, then hello, you got to divert from that script and actually address what it is that they need.
100%.
Yeah,
that's it.
And something I'm going to bounce back a little bit, because something that you said in the beginning about what people didn't expect, or like a misconception that people have that really resonated with me is people don't realize that like how much work that it actually does take, and that people think you have it all figured out. Because when I started getting traction on social media, people thought that I had it all figured out, and thought that, oh, okay, now I'm sitting pretty. But like behind the scenes, I was onboarding agents, I was closing my own deals, building the back end infrastructure that took, and doing all that without like complaining or talking a lot about what was going on all behind the scenes. And just what people don't realize is that, it's not dramatic, but it's like you have to just have that persistence, like what you were talking about. And just because you see somebody, on social media or owning a business or selling a lot of real estate, that misconception that like underneath it, like everything's all good, all gravy. And I think that's one of the things that you said that I really think will resonate with my audience as well. And just the real estate game in general, whether you're on the lending side, the investment side, the real estate sales side, is that there are struggles. It doesn't get any easier. You just have new problems as you start to scale and grow. And I think that's important for people to know.
So when I had my daughter and she was born, now I'm going to reference this to business because of what you said. My grandma was still alive, and I said, Grandma, give me some advice. She said, well, she's small, the problems are small. When she gets bigger, the problems get bigger.
Yep.
And just understand that. And it's the truth. And now she's 17, and I realize it's different problems and they're bigger problems. Before it was, a diaper rash. Now it's, heartbreak, right?
Mm-hmm.
And with a business, it's the same thing. The bigger business gets, the larger your business gets, there are more headaches you're going to have. And it's how you're going to deal with those headaches that's going to differentiate you to the next person,
Mm-hmm.
And the other thing, I've never compared myself to anyone else in the business or in any business, right? I am my number one competition. And for me, it's, well, I close, $50 million worth of loans. I have to close 60. Then I go from 60, I need to go. And that's something that people need to do as well. Never look at the next guy. Maybe aspire to be somebody, right? But, and I never get jealous of anyone. I am for everybody winning. I celebrate everyone's wins. And that is so honest with me, and everyone who's around me understands that. I just want everyone to win. And I think if you have that mentality in business, and like you said, to know as business grows, your problems grow larger, right? And there's more of them. And at the same time, just pay attention to your own lane, put those blinders on like a horse.
Yep.
And
just run.
just run and deal with your own lot.
Mhm.
You
Mhm.
know, this is your slice of the pie. Pay
100.
attention. It's your yard. You know, it doesn't matter if the next guy over is growing bananas. You know, maybe your soil is for apples. Grow the best apples you can grow. You know,
Yeah.
don't
Yep.
envy the banana.
Yeah. Yep, 100%, 100%. I love that. And, something I wanna flip to too, because, legacy, because what we're talking about, I mean, that's what you're building. That's what, I think everyone, if you were to really, dig deep, like, we all wanna have a legacy, we wanna be remembered for something,
Mhm.
and legacy doesn't just come from the grind only. There's systems, there's a back end to all of that. So I wanna talk about the business behind the brand of everything, right? Because you and I, we're on social media, all the things, and you've done over 10 billion in loans. Um, it's not just the hustle; it's the systems too. So let's talk about your back end a little bit. Like, what does your operational machine look like now, where you're at?
Okay. So when I got into the business, we had fax machines that would, on a roller that would wipe off as you were trying to pick them up, right? It was crazy, right?
Yep.
So that's when I got into business. And today we have artificial intelligence. And I think what's important is that in order for anyone to have longevity in any sort of business, they've got to move with the times and understand that things are just different and
Hmm.
not just sit there and reminisce and beat their heads against the wall and try to do the same thing all the time, right? And I don't know if you've read a book, Who Moved My Cheese?
Oh, I haven't.
It's small. You could probably knock it out in 30 minutes. But
Okay.
it talks about, a mouse who's just waiting for the cheese and it's never going to come back. Meanwhile, his compadres moved on to the next store and they're eating, and this guy ended up starving because he's just waiting for that cheese to be there, right?
Yep.
And one thing that has enabled me to stay in the business for such a long time is the fact that I understand that technology changes, right? And although I'm not techie, I'm not. Everyone around me makes fun of me, but I know the right people to hire to
Yep.
put that tech in place,
Hmm.
right? And
100%.
that's important. That's important to know. Hey, all right, we were doing this, now AI, right? And I could sit there and say, oh my God, AI, we're going to have, it's the end of the world or this and that. Or sit there and
That's
say, well, okay, everyone's moving in this direction. Hire the right people. What can we do now? Instead of worrying about why it's here, it's here. There's not turning back. I can't turn it back. I can go around telling people, don't you dare use ChatGPT. Oh, what can we do today? So you're right. The foundation to do business is very important. And then to anticipate where your business is going is just as important, right? To understand that. So if you're in a trajectory where your business is growing by, let's say, I don't know, 5 sales every quarter, right? To anticipate and not wait until it's too late to put the
Mhm.
systems in place, because then you'll bottleneck and you'll kill yourself, right?
Yep.
And don't be cheap about it. Don't say, "Well, I'm going to hold off." No, because you're going to end up losing more money in the long run. Spend the money, put the systems in place that are going to help you grow, right? And
Mhm.
once you put the systems in place to help you grow, you're going to grow into the system and you're going to grow into whatever you created.
Mhm.
It's a good way to manifest too, to be honest with you, right?
Yep.
So I remember, in year 2001, my brother was my partner, and we're looking for new office space. And I went and I said, I'm going to get 15,000 square feet. He looked at me and said, Are you on your mind? We walked into the office space. We were all swimming in it. And I told him, I said, in 1 year, we're going to grow out of this space. He's like, Steve, you're crazy. Believe me, in exactly 1 year, we were looking to grab the next door office because we had just grown so much.
Wow.
So it's also when you do something like that, when you have the anticipation, when you set up the systems for growth, right? Then mentally, you're going to grow into whatever you anticipated and whatever you laid in front of you. And if you have that on a consistent basis to say, hey, let's say in my business, we funded $45 million with business. Next month or next quarter, we want to try and, we're going to do 60, and then 60 comes. And we're going to next month. And then that's what you're working towards. So in terms of systems, stay up on whatever it is, regardless of however you feel about it, whether it's going to be doomsday or not, stay up on it. And then also figure out which direction your business is going into, and just make sure that you're ahead of wherever you plan on, adjust.
And can control what you can control, and like you said with AI, I'm glad you brought that up, because that's a huge thing. And a lot of people fear it, and they're like, oh, I'm behind, therefore my business or what I'm trying to do, they fear it, put their heads, in the sand, and just, don't do it. And I think a lot of the agents that come to me, if they're brand new or trying to figure this out, there's a lot of people in this space that have been doing it for 30, 40 years and one of the biggest complaints I get is like, hey, my team leader or my brokerage, like, they don't understand social media or the importance of it, or know how to train me how to do it. And it's like, they may not need it, right? They may not have to do that. But you, in this standpoint, with your age, getting started in this business, knowing that this is a reality and that you're going to get blown out of the water by the people who do know it, you got to sometimes make hard decisions. And if who you're under doesn't value that or know how to do that, like for example, you've been in it for 34 years, but you have a forward thinking mindset of like, I'm going to figure, even if it's not me specifically, somebody on my team is going to figure it out. We're going to be able to provide that. And we're going to operate like the people that are the best in the business, with using whatever that thing is that you can't control, that does have a big impact on the world. I think that's super important. It doesn't mean that people 30, 40 years in the business don't get it. It's about the mindset. I think that is a huge impact.
It's about the mindset. It's what happened to the dinosaurs. They went extinct, right? So if you choose to stay a dinosaur, you're gonna go extinct at some point. It's just the way the world works. You can't fight the current.
Yep.
You're gonna lose. You're gonna get tired at some point, right? The current's gonna take you downstream. You can fight, and maybe you're gonna have a good fight for a little bit, but then you're gonna get tired, and that's it. You can't. It's impossible. You can't go backwards. You can
100%.
try. And so what you said also, I think a lot of new people get into the business, especially real estate, expecting results right away. And then they get discouraged when they don't get it.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
And that's an issue. And a lot of people have that instant gratification frame of mind today, right? Because at least when I was growing up, I had to wait Saturdays to watch a cartoon. Right? I didn't have, we had to go to Blockbuster to go get a movie. It wasn't, I want to watch this now, right? There was no Amazon. There was no, Amazon today. Like, oh, I want this. It's going to appear. It's just, so I think a lot of people in this generation expect success to be the same way. And it's just not. And then when they get their first fail, they get disappointed and they just close up the doors and that was it.
Yep.
So,
well, yeah. And that's, why I think in real estate, I don't know about the lender space, but in real estate, I mean, 88+% of agents either fail or get out of the industry within the first 2 years. And I think that's a lot of it is like, everything takes longer than you think, and it's harder work than you anticipate. If you want real ultimate success. And, speaking of that, I think it's important too. I like to ask people, like, was there a point that, and I think you touched on one, but where you wanted to walk away, but didn't? And what do you wish you could say to your younger self? I mean, you already kind of were built, your family did a great job. Your dad did a great job of building that. But is there a point that you like almost gave up, but didn't and kept going?
I think in 2008, when we had that crash, within 3 weeks, I went from literal riches to rags, and it was very difficult. And to get back was very hard, and I was looking for something else. But what ends up happening is I was an expert in mortgage financing, and I was not an expert in anything else. And back then, everybody looked at us like we had leprosy, and it was hard. It was a very difficult time for mortgage professionals. But I'll tell you, again, I've evolved, right? I went from being a conventional lender to FHA lender, and I was one of the first non-QM lenders. Right now, non-QM is hot. I got into non-QM in 2014. People didn't even know what non-QM is, right?
Wow.
I was
Okay.
one of the first people. I helped create the DSCR loan. Like I was in the forefront of non-QM, right? So now, 11 years later, people understand what
That
non-QM
is.
is.
Mhm.
But then I understood that, and I left non-QM because of what was happening in the competition. And I said, you know what? I see private lending is a big opportunity now because there's not, there's a ton of people in it, but it's fragmented, and I could do some big damage over there. And then I got into private lending. So although I stayed in lending, again, I made sure I wasn't extinct. I just went, and I had foresight, and I kept elevating to stay relevant.
Mhm.
Um, and the other thing is, I think one thing people don't understand is you have to have business ethics to be able to last long.
100%.
If
Yes.
you don't have business ethics, and that means doing right by people, not robbing people, making sure people are paid and everything like that, you're just not going to make it. It's going to catch up to you at some point, and your reputation is everything, and that's important.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Just you talking about that reminds me of just, in my journey, I haven't been in the game as long. I've been in the real estate space for, 13, 14 years now. And one thing that early on, I have always been, when I think about it, except for one short time, a part of a team. And so for
Mhm.
me, back when I got started 13 years ago, teams were not as common, but that's where I started, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like this makes so much sense. And I feel like real estate in general is always like 5 to 10 years behind the rest of the business world, and I'm like, I never not want to be a part of the team. When I left, a few years in, I left and I was solo for 1 year. I made my first hire in that first year. I got an admin assistant and I grew my team. And ever since then, I have had a team. So it was only 1 year right in the middle where I was kind of restructuring and starting my own thing that I didn't. But, you can go so much further with a team. You can, each person, because there's different aspects of real estate and in the lending world, whatever it is, in any business in general, where there's all sorts of skills and personalities and mindset like that you need in order to function and grow and scale. And so to me, I'm like, we can help more people if I'm doing what I'm best at, the admin person's doing what they're best at, and having that team. And so just, yeah, having that mindset of like, okay, how do I scale? We're talking systems, we're talking ethics, we're talking, honing in on the thing that you're best at, and all of that. I think it all kind of meshes. Everything that you're saying makes total sense, and
Yeah.
it's, just having an open mindset in general, doing the right thing, having integrity, and
Do the right thing.
your strengths. Yep.
Always do the right thing. That's that's always been my motto. Like sometimes it's hard. I'm not gonna lie, right? And one thing I learned is usually the right thing is the hard thing.
Yep. Usually
So
9.5 times out of
usually
10.
9 out of 10 times, the right thing is the harder route to take, right? And you have to do that. And you know, you got to kind of leave. Unfortunately, you have to leave your emotions out of business, but at the same time, you can't be a cold-hearted bastard, right? So
Yeah, there's a balance. There's a
there's a
balance.
balance. There's a hard balance. There's a hard balance with that.
Mhm. So kind of staying in that lane, but switching a little bit, just brand building in general. Like you've got a strong Instagram, TikTok, and you show up with clarity and edginess. When did you realize that, speaking of kind of staying up with the changes you can't control and evolving, when did you realize that content wasn't optional anymore? Because a lot of our obviously people know us through social media, and that's not
Right.
something that was available like for a long time before, when you got in the game.
So I had moved to Tennessee and from California, and I was having lunch with a realtor who happens to be one of my closest friends now, and with somebody who was running his office at the time, who happens to be one of my closest friends now, and we were having lunch, and my friend Manuel said, "Hey, you would be great on on social media because I'm very
Charismatic.
right? I'm animated, and sometimes when I get excited, I'm from New York, so I curse, and it is what it is, right? I can't. Uh, I'm not gonna, apologize for who I am at this point in my life, right? So he said you would be great, and I said, you know what? I'm really not. I'm not really looking to do this. I don't. I like to be in the shadows, be successful, and not put my life out for everyone to see. Then I went home, and then I have a practice of meditation,
Mhm.
and in the morning I meditated, and I had some clarity on that. I mean, it was the first thing that popped into my head. I think that in that meditation session, and then I said to myself, well, why not? Everybody else is doing it, and I don't want to be a dinosaur, right? I keep telling everybody, you're going to be a dinosaur, you're going to be extinct, and I wasn't looking to be extinct, right? And I just recreated myself, and I reached back out to my friend Manuel, um, that's how the journey started. And again, I go into everything saying to myself, I have to win. I just want to win. I have 50,000 followers. How do I get 75? If I have 75, I need to know how to get to. And it has nothing to do with anything. It has nothing to do with my ego. It's just I just want. I need that. I am
Mhm.
that person. I am I am him, right? I'm
Yep.
the guy. I need to challenge myself no matter what it is I'm doing. If it's social media, it has nothing to do with the likes. I could care less. I mean, if you look at some of my comments that I'm giving people, to me, it doesn't matter. They come on, you know, some people are great and I give them kudos, and some people, they're just jerks. They're going to be jerks. It doesn't bother me in any way.
Yeah.
So I just want to win, and
Mhm.
that's what ended up happening, and that's how I got into social media.
Mhm.
I actually wish that I would have gotten into it earlier.
Yeah, 100, yes, absolutely, me too, and
I
it's funny,
really wish.
I have a similar kind of story where, this gal of mine, we ended up becoming really great friends, and now she works for me. But she kept telling me like, "Hey, like Jen, you have to be on social media. Like you're missing the boat. You need to get on you." And I was like, "No, I was the same way. Like, yes, I'm a performer. I like to dance, whatever, sports, all the things, but I didn't like to. I'm a private person, whatever, And I'm like, no one cares, blah blah blah."
Yeah,
But when I realized, like, Jen, you are holding yourself back. You are yes, like the money piece of it was a big thing. I'm like, you're just falling behind, and you
yeah,
have to like this is just part of your business now. You got to get over yourself. And so I hired her, and and she's still with me, my social media marketing person. And I went back to her, said, okay, I'm ready to do this, and I have to spend money on it. I have to do that in order, like I need to be held accountable for that because it's something I don't want to do. So I got to make it hurt, and force myself to do that. And that's
yeah,
exactly how it went for me. Is like I had to get over myself and my own, limitations and mindset about it,
yeah.
and just do it. So
I
it
think it's a
completely,
little bit easier for you because you did perform in front of so many people,
yeah,
though,
yeah, I had,
right?
yeah, some skill set
So,
behind this. Yep.
right? So stage fright, I think, is you're an entertainer at the end of the day, right? So
Sure.
for me, it was a little bit more difficult in the beginning.
Hmm.
Um, although I did a lot of public speaking when I was younger, so that never bothered me. But
Yeah.
getting in front of a camera and just acting normal
Mhm.
is very hard
It
to be.
is. It is.
It's very difficult, and I didn't realize how difficult that was. To be
Mhm.
genuine, to be yourself, not thinking, or caring that, 50,000 people or 100,000 people or sometimes 1,000,000 people could be looking at you, right?
Yep.
Um, and staying true to yourself. I think the best personalities that go a long way in social media because you can't hide, authenticity, I think, right? Or
Mhm.
authentic to who they are. Like I say, I curse. It's just me. It's a part of me, right? And this older lady reached out to me. She said, I would follow you, but you have a very foul mouth. You should reconsider this. And I responded to her. I said, ma'am, I'm very sorry. that you feel that way, but I'm not sorry about being me. And I'm not sorry that you can't follow me, because if I were to change, then I would change me, and I can't change me. And she
Mhm.
responded, well, that's too bad. I said, if you could look at it as too bad, but I have to be true to myself. And
Mhm.
and that's that. And even looking at your stuff, I like your stuff. It's you.
Yep, and that's
Yeah.
and that's what I tell people too. It doesn't matter. Like, you don't need to look like any other influencer or social media person,
Mhm.
because you can't sustain that. You can only wear a mask so long. Either you're gonna burn out not
Yeah.
being true to yourself and not being who you are,
Mhm.
or you're gonna get found out because you get like you are who you are. It's gonna leak somewhere, so it's
Somewhere.
like you might as well just start by being yourself. Like, sure, when I get in front of a camera, do I light it up? Do I increase my energy a
Yeah.
little bit, talk a little bit faster because I know that that keeps people engaged
Yeah.
more? Like, sure, there's adjustments that you make, right? Like, I present differently if I'm dancing in front of a
Yeah.
crowd versus
Yeah.
just dancing in my room, right? But so there are certain levels where yes, you tweak and enhance, but the ultimate core of who you are, the value that you
Yeah.
give, you just have to be you if you want to sustain, if you want to last.
I agree. Believe me, I get yelled at all the time about my energy level. So I get it. I understand. You can't, in real life, I'm not, on the Autobahn the entire time. You know what I'm saying? It just doesn't exist. But
Mhm.
if I'm half asleep, who's going to want to listen to me on social media? And I have to attract, I have to get their attention.
Yep.
So if I'm a little bit more aggressive or whatever it is, you're right. You have to be a little bit more animated than you are in real life. And
Yep.
this just, that, and it's so that people, at least you could attract them to listen to your message. Another person reached out to me and said, I can't believe that you give so much information to people for free. Why would you do that?
Yep.
I said, why wouldn't I do that? Where is this information going if I can't put it out in the world,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
Well, you have to figure out a way to, to monetize
Mhm.
this. And I think you're crazy, And I said, look, if it's something that I have to expand on, then maybe I'll monetize it. But for the most part, I want to help people. I want, I'm not. What am I going to hoard this information for? How is Who's gonna, how is somebody else's success going to hurt me or my life? It doesn't.
Yep. It reminds
So
me of the Zig Ziglar quote of, "You help enough people get what they want, you're gonna have more than you ever dreamed of."
a 100%. And I was speaking about this yesterday. So I'm persistent. I'm crazy persistent, like I told you. So I finally get a hold of this banker who I needed a line from, a commercial line from my business. And he finally calls me back and he says, Steve, we have a conversation. He says, I could appreciate it, but I can't help you because, what you're asking for is not something I do. So I've been taught, well, if you can't do it, right? Do you have a referral for me?
Mhm. Yep.
I'm so always an automatic thing now in my life. Give
Me
me a
too.
referral. It could
Yep.
be in your business. If you can't give me a listing, who could you give? Who,
No.
anyone else, right? So he said, put something in writing for me and send me an email and let me find you somebody. Usually when people do that, I'm 50-50. I'm like, well, this guy's brushing me off nicely, right?
Mhm.
And this was about 4 months ago. Okay. So I put it in writing, and within 2 weeks, I get a call from somebody that he had introduced, and it worked out perfectly. He really
Hmm.
went out of his way, and he found someone that could help me, and that happened. And I've reached out to him. I said, and he didn't need to do that. He didn't make a dollar off of it. He had to go out of his way to find somebody. Like, it was a really good gesture, right? And I said, if Tim, if there's anything I could do, please. Like, Steve, no. He goes, you were nice enough. Thank you. And God bless you. And good luck with whatever you're doing. Turns out, so we have PIMCO. I don't know if you know who PIMCO is. PIMCO is the fourth largest money manager in the world. They're partners in my business. Turns out they're looking for a really large facility, right? And I remember Tim. So I told
Mhm.
the guys, I said, hey, I know you guys are probably looking for something, in a different route. Why don't you guys, I'll put you in contact with this guy. He was so super nice with me. I did that. And on Monday, they closed a massive facility with Tim.
Wow.
And
Around comes
he's
around.
making a ton of money off of it. I'm so happy for him. And he reached out the whole time and he said, you really didn't need to do that. I didn't really help you to get anything out of it, but this is so nice. And again, it's just, I think if you do enough of that, like you said, for people out there, that stuff comes back to you, and it comes back sometimes tenfold,
Mm,
right? And
mhm.
it's important. It's important to do things, even though you're not going to get any immediate things from it, right?
Mm,
Any immediate benefit from it, and
yep,
people miss that. People, it's always, well, what can you do for me?
for me. Yeah,
What's
yeah.
in it for me? And,
Mhm.
you know, I help so many people. Everyone, I'm so free with my knowledge on
Yeah.
social media, on Instagram. So many people reach out to me with so many different questions. I can't get back to them all at this, but I
Right.
try my best to get back to them at some point, a day later. And
Mhm.
what surprises me, everyone almost says, "Wow, I can't believe you responded to me, and
Mhm.
I can't believe you're actually helping me." Right?
Yep.
And that to me means more to me than anything else.
Mhm. Mhm. I love that. So I want to ask you too, because I know we're getting to the top of the hour
Yeah.
here. But a couple more things. Okay, so let's talk some money truths. I want to know, what is your number one rule when someone's trying to pitch you a deal?
My number one rule. It's if it sounds too good to be true, it's too good to be true. That's one.
Yep.
Second thing is, even if it's a great deal, if it's not in my wheelhouse,
Mm,
I usually won't invest in it.
yeah. Yeah.
I just won't do it, right? It could be you can come to me and say, I have the best commercial piece of property. I'm just not a commercial guy. I don't know. That's not my lane.
Mhm.
I'll try.
Mhm.
If I believe in a deal, I'll try and help find whoever it is, right?
Right. Right.
Um, those are the two things. Every time I've thought it's too good to be true, and I do it, I lose. And
Mm,
every time I try to do something that's out of my lane, I end up losing too.
yep.
And so, you have to understand those two things.
I like it. I like it. I ask everybody this. So when your name comes up 10 years from now, like, what do you hope people say? Like, what is the thing that you want to be known for the most?
I want to be known as why am I in this for this long is because I'm going to exit this business at some point, right? And when I exit the business, I want to be known as the most um, successful mortgage banker to exit the mortgage business. And
Hmm.
I want to leave that legacy, not successful in terms of money, but my exit was so I want to set a record because I just want to win. Has
Hmm.
nothing to do with the money. I've been in it this long. I survived this long, and I need that on my record to say, hey, this guy exited at this. It's the biggest exit anyone that has had in this business, and it has nothing. It has to do with my ego, yes, because I
Sure.
want to win.
Yeah.
The numbers don't. I don't care about the numbers. Believe me, I swear to you, I'm successful enough. How much money is enough, right?
Right.
I just, that's what I would be known for. He spent his time. He gave 40 years in this business, and his exit was the biggest exit to date because he deserved it. He put in his time, and this is what he got out. And that's maybe it's you want me to say I was the greatest and kindest person. That's going to happen
There's no
anyway.
right answer.
But,
Yeah. No, I like
but
it.
for me, that's why I'm in the game still. A lot of people are like, how come you haven't retired? This is my last go around. This is
Mm,
my last go around in this business, and that's my goal. Just to put that cherry on top. I need that win for me, for no one else, and I'm going to get it.
yep.
It's
Oh, I
going to
love
happen.
it. You know what? I can tell you're being true and honest, because the very beginning you were talking about win. I like to win. I want to win. And that's full, you brought it full circle. So I believe you.
Yeah.
Love it. Okay, now we're going to do a little fun exercise. I like to turn it up at the end here. So it's what
Okay.
we call real estate hot takes round. So
Okay.
it's going to be this or that. You just, on your instinct, no explanation or context, you just pick the one that resonates most with you. So
Okay.
just a couple things, this or that. Are you good to go?
Let's go.
All right, let's do it. Okay. Number one, scaling fast or scaling lean?
Scaling lean.
When raising capital, pitch deck or face to face?
Face to face.
Losing the deal or losing the relationship?
Losing the deal.
Outworking the room or outpositioning the room?
Always outworking the room.
Building your name or protecting your time?
Building a name.
Playing it safe publicly or risking controversy?
Risking controversy.
Being underestimated or being overexposed?
Being underestimated.
Saying no too early or saying yes too long?
Saying no too early.
Retire rich or die respected?
Die respected.
Hell yeah. That's it. You made it. Love it.
I like
Okay.
that. I
Yeah,
love it.
it's a
I
fun
like it.
little,
Yeah.
just keep you on your toes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, you guys, well, thank you so much, Steve.
Thank
And
you so much,
everyone, yes, guys, you guys go follow him. It's at Afra Steve on socials. And before we wrap here, Steve, is there anything that you want to plug, where people can connect with you, learn more about you, what you're doing?
Just on social media, I have a course coming out on private lending as well, but that's that's in the works. I get and the only reason I'm doing that, there's so many people that ask me on social media, and there isn't a course out there like that. So when that comes out, then maybe we'll have a second conversation.
Awesome. Yeah, let's do it. And by the way, for anyone listening, whether you're listening live or on the replay, all of Steve's links, his socials and resources, they're going to be in the show notes. So the full replay of this episode is going to be on YouTube. You'll find also some, cut downs and clips across Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn, all the things. So if something hit you guys, rewatch this, reshare it, drop us a comment. And if you're not following him, go fix that by checking out the show notes. But Steve, thank you so much for showing up. Give us the receipts, real talk. So I appreciate you.
Thank you.
Absolutely. So you guys, again, please share this, replay, all the things. But thank you so much for coming. And this was The Hype.